What would you do if the woman who left you for a rich man called you months later and asked you to be the photographer at her wedding? I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I said yes and gave her the best photos of her life. But what she didn't know was that behind every picture, I was writing my own story, the story of how I healed, succeeded, and watched karma do its quiet work. This is how I turned heartbreak into peace and revenge into growth. I'll never forget the message that ended us. It came at 9:47 p.m. on a Thursday, the kind of night where nothing feels wrong until everything suddenly is. My girlfriend, Leah, texted me, "You're amazing, but I need more stability. Please don't hate me." At first, I thought she meant space, maybe she needed time to think. But then, a photo appeared on her Instagram story an hour later. Her, dressed up, sitting in a luxury car beside a man I'd never seen before. His watch probably cost more than my monthly rent. That's when it hit me she didn't leave me for space. She left me for status. I stared at that picture for a long time, trying to process the kind of betrayal that doesn't just break your heart, it bruises your pride. I wasn't angry at first, just numb. Leah and I had been together 3 years. I supported her through nursing school, helped her with rent, even skipped my own vacation so she could take hers. I thought love meant sacrifice. She thought love meant upgrade. For weeks after, I kept scrolling through her new life vacations. Designer clothes, fancy dinners. Each photo was like a small reminder that I'd been replaced by someone richer, smoother, more powerful. It's funny how heartbreak feels like grief, except the person you're grieving is still out there smiling. I buried myself in my work as a freelance photographer. It was all I had left that still made sense. I told myself I'd never cross paths with her again. But life, or maybe karma, had a cruel sense of humor, because months later, when my name started circulating as one of the top wedding photographers in town, I got a new inquiry. The bride's name? Leah. That's when I realized, maybe karma doesn't rush. It waits for the perfect shot. When I saw her name in my inbox, I froze. For a moment, I thought it was a prank. Leah hadn't reached out since the night she left me, and now here she was, casually asking if I'd be available to shoot her wedding. I read the message 3 times. It started with a cheerful, "Hey, hope you've been doing great." That line alone almost made me laugh, not because it was funny, but because of how fake it sounded. She went on about how she'd seen my work all over social media, how incredible my growth had been, and how she'd love for me to capture her big day. It was so polite, so normal, as if she hadn't shattered me just months ago. I didn't reply right away. I just stared at my laptop screen, torn between anger and amusement. The old me would have deleted it instantly. The new me, the man who had rebuilt his career from scratch, saw something else. Karma had just sent me an invitation, and I wasn't sure whether to RSVP. That night, I sat by my window, camera in hand, thinking about how much had changed. I'd gone from photographing small birthdays and baby showers to landing brand campaigns and influencer shoots. My name was finally respected in an industry that once ignored me. I didn't need Leah's wedding, but something in me wanted to see her again, not out of love, but closure. So, I typed my reply carefully. "Congratulations, Leah. I'd be honored to capture your day." When I hit send, my hands didn't shake, because for the first time, I wasn't the one being left behind. A week later, Leah and her fiancé, Ethan, came by my studio for the pre-wedding consultation. The moment she walked in, memories came rushing back the way she used to smile when she saw me. Except this time, that smile looked practiced. She had on a designer dress, a diamond on her finger big enough to catch the light, and a confidence that screamed, "Look what I have now." But here's the thing. I wasn't the same man she left. I greeted them calmly, professional, but distant. Ethan shook my hand, strong grip, expensive watch, polite grin. He looked like the type of guy who'd never been told no in his life. Leah glanced around my studio, clearly surprised at how far I'd come. "Wow," she said softly. "You've really made something of yourself." "Yeah," I replied. "Losing everything helps you focus." For a split second, her smile faltered. I noticed it. Ethan didn't. We talked through the schedule, the venue, the theme. Every word felt like a strange dream me, planning how to immortalize her new happiness, while she looked at me like she'd just realized what she threw away. Before leaving, she said, "I knew you'd make it someday." I smiled. "You just didn't want to wait for someday, did you?" Her eyes widened, just a flicker, but I saw it. That's when I knew my quiet revenge had already begun. The wedding was held at a luxury vineyard just outside the city, the kind of place with fountains, chandeliers, and too much champagne. I arrived early, wearing all black, my camera strapped to my chest like armor. When Leah saw me through the mirror while getting her makeup done, she froze for half a second. I caught her reflection, nervous, uncertain. The bride who once traded love for money suddenly looked like she was questioning something. Throughout the day, I did my job with precision, capturing smiles, vows, dances, but there was something unspoken in the air. Leah kept stealing glances at me when she thought no one was watching, and Ethan, too busy showing off to notice. During the first dance, I snapped a photo of them mid-spin. The light hit her face in a way that made her look sad. Not fake sad, genuinely lost. I realized in that moment that she wasn't glowing from happiness. She was glowing from the flash, the illusion. At the reception, she walked over and whispered, "You've changed." I smiled faintly. That's what heartbreak does. It develops you, like film. Her eyes softened, maybe with regret, but I didn't feel victorious. Just peaceful. Sometimes, revenge doesn't look like winning. It looks like being okay when they're not. Weeks later, I delivered their wedding album, every image perfect, every smile framed in elegance. I didn't remove or alter a single moment, but I did something subtle, something only she would notice. The final photo in the album wasn't of the couple. It was of Leah alone, standing near the window after the reception, looking out into the distance. Her makeup slightly faded, her expression raw and unguarded. Beneath it, I left a simple caption. The moments between the smiles tell the real story. She never replied. But a month later, I saw her name pop up again, not in my inbox, but in a job referral. She'd recommended me to one of her friends getting married. No apology, no message, just quiet acknowledgement. And that was enough, because by then, I'd learned that closure doesn't come from revenge. It comes from knowing you've become the person they wish they hadn't lost. After I delivered Leah's wedding photos, life felt strangely calm. No drama, no lingering sadness, just silence. I poured myself into new projects, traveling for shoots, working with brands that once ignored my calls. My name began to mean something, but every now and then, I'd get this odd ache, not for her, but for closure. There were no long messages, no apologies, just the ghost of a woman who once said I wasn't stable enough. Then one evening, while editing a campaign, I got a text from an unknown number. It was her. She wrote, "I saw the album again today. You really have a gift. Ethan doesn't appreciate art like that." I didn't reply, not because I was angry, but because I had nothing left to say. Sometimes silence is louder than any response. That night, I looked at her photo again, the one I took after the reception, her eyes full of something she couldn't hide. It hit me. I wasn't her heartbreak anymore. I was her reminder. Months passed before fate decided to play its card again. I was covering a corporate gala, and I spotted her across the room. No diamond ring this time. Just Leah, standing alone with a drink, staring at the stage like she was lost in thought. When our eyes met, she smiled a soft, tired smile. "Hey," she said, walking over. "Didn't think I'd see you again." "You almost didn't," I replied, keeping my tone even. We talked briefly, small things, safe topics. Then she dropped it. Ethan and we separated. Things didn't really work out. Her voice cracked slightly on the last words. She looked older, not in years, but in spirit. I nodded slowly, not out of satisfaction, but empathy. It wasn't about winning anymore. It was about realizing that sometimes the people who hurt you are already living their own punishment. As I walked away, she called after me. "You really changed, you know." I smiled. That's what pain does. It teaches you what love never could. After that night, I couldn't stop thinking about how much life had changed me. When Leah left, I thought success would heal everything, that revenge meant rising so high she'd regret ever walking away. But standing there, looking at her broken version of happy, I realized something deeper. Revenge doesn't heal. Growth does. Forgiveness does. I look back at my old photos, the ones of me, struggling, exhausted, doubting myself. That man deserved peace. He didn't deserve bitterness or pride, just peace. So I started something new, a mentorship program for young photographers who couldn't afford training. I called it Second Focus because sometimes what's blurry today becomes clear with time. And that, in its own way, was my real revenge, becoming the kind of man I once needed. One morning, I opened my DMs and found a long message from Leah. It wasn't like before, no flattery, no fake kindness, just honesty. She wrote, "I thought I wanted a perfect life, money, comfort, the picture everyone envies, but I've never been happy since the day I walked away from you. You were the only person who saw me when I was nothing. I'm sorry I didn't see your worth until it was too late." I read it twice, not out of anger, not for satisfaction, but to understand how much both of us had changed. Then I replied simply, "It's okay, Leah. Some people are lessons, not losses." And I meant it. That day, I realized that true revenge isn't making someone regret losing you. It's living a life so full that they no longer have a place in it. A year later, I stood at another wedding, camera in hand, laughter all around. The bride was glowing. The groom couldn't stop smiling. It wasn't fancy or rich, but it was real. And this time, I wasn't behind the lens. I was the groom. As I looked into my new wife's eyes, I thought about everything that led me here. The heartbreak, the rejection, the message that once shattered me. Leah had taught me pain, but pain had taught me purpose. When people say time heals all wounds, they forget to mention that healing isn't passive. It's a choice. You don't wait to feel better. You build better. And as the camera clicked around us, I whispered to myself, the man she left is gone. The man she made finally learned how to love again.